Okay, so X-Men number 1, 1991 being one of my favorite books, and I believe I have a YouTube video. It's a short on that book. I'll post it somewhere up here somewhere so you can go view that. I decided I wanted to do a full walkthrough of X-Men number 2. And one of the reasons is the beauty of this script and the beauty of the art. So I want to get right into it. There are a lot of new collectors. I say a lot of new collectors. There are some, and because of that, they might not know where to start. I hope that my channel can be somewhat of a enjoyable comic book channel with the problems that we see within the comic book industry, because there are problems. It's nice to find some places where you can just enjoy comic books. So I might go over a lot of older comic books. This is primarily for a lot of the new subscribers that I have. And I may go over some new comic books that I enjoy. I typically cover things I enjoy. I didn't do that early on. Covered some things I didn't like, but I just don't really have the energy for that. And I know there's got to be people out there like me that are just looking for good comic book content. Like, I know the failures in the comic book industry. I know that the areas where there are problems, but I just want to enjoy comic books. So, going over X-Men number 2, for those of you who might be new to collecting comic books, you don't know where to start. You can't always start at a number 1, because you're going to run into an issue at some point where you have some multiverse, some retcon, something in the story that just abruptly changes, and you might get a little lost. I recommend, if you're new to comics, the internet is a wonderful tool. There's many videos where you can learn the backstory of a character. I do a series myself, The Origin of Characters, and I do it in under 3 minutes. It didn't start out that way. As a matter of fact, Magneto, as you see on the cover here, my favorite villain of all time, I have a video on his origin. I think that video is 8 minutes, and I have an origin of Wolverine that's like 10 minutes. At some point, I figured, if I'm new to comics, like if I'm a person that's brand new to comics, I don't want to sit through an 8-minute video. I want a quick video. Give me the cliff notes, the quick details, so that I have enough information about this character that if I want to go learn more, I can go look for those videos. So I have one playlist called Comic Book Origins, and one, I believe I called it Character Origins. And I have another playlist. Well, I have a couple playlists. Some of them I don't have many videos in yet. Just trying to provide you some content to help you along. Anyway, this magnificent cover by Jim Lee. And this is one of the reasons why I prefer good covers when I'm going to buy comic books. A cover matters to me. Some people don't really care about the cover. I do, because I grew up in a time, this era, where whatever action and whatever excitement you saw on the cover, you definitely got a payoff when you read the book. And this book does not disappoint at all. I say again, X-Men, these acolytes have pledged themselves to my service and my cause. I shall not abandon them. And you see, this book right here was drawn by Jim Lee and inked by Scott Williams. Now, I mentioned this in my John Byrne X-Men Elsewhere coverage that I did a few days ago, where I mentioned the fact that a good inker can really add some punch to a great artist, but a bad inker can really make a great artist not look so good. Some inkers go too heavy, some go too light. Scott Williams and Jim Lee were like a match made in the comic book heavens, a perfect match. And during this time, Scott Williams did a lot of Jim Lee's ink work, which is a very good thing. Hammer Bay, capital city of the Indian Ocean nation of Genosha, amidst the ruins of the Central Medical Facility. They acted in excess of zeal. If so, I and I alone shall determine their appropriate punishment. This is Magneto. And this right here, this panel right here, panels like this make comic books so exciting. I love this. I wish I had this in poster format. I'm sure I could find a poster of this somewhere around. Pardon my asking, monsieur, but who died and made you God? Magneto, don't do this. You're playing right into the hands of every demagogue who believes mutants ought to be wiped off the face of the earth. He doesn't care, Rogue, about your words any more than the fact that that his people just laid waste to the heart of a city, to a hospital, no less. Why should the master of magnetism, self-appointed leader of mutant kind, care a whit about the lives and the deaths of ordinary human beings? Yeah, Scott sees Magneto in black and white format. Magneto's character is really not so black and white. If you read anything about Magneto, any books with him in it, you get that his character is complex, and he is not the menace that he's made out to be, but yet he is the menace that he's made out to be, if that makes sense. Complex villain and super powerful, which is one of the reasons why I've always loved Magneto. Like I said, my favorite villain. And this book really does display his power. And look, out of all villains that I read in comics, nobody monologues like Magneto. He's the best at it. All right, read that already. As always, Cyclops, you see me as you wish. And who knows, perhaps that is as I truly am. About that, you're quite correct. I do no longer care about the devastation. Some might call it a fit punishment for a state whose prosperity was built on the backs of mutant slaves. The Genosians have accepted responsibility for what they've done, Magneto. They've resolved to make amends. They've changed for the better. Why is it you're going the other direction? Beast always with the reasonable take. You know that answer, Beast. You would have to live my life, and I would not wish such a fate on even my most hated enemy. But I see the time for discussion is at its end. Most impressive, the missiles are constructed of plastic and molded ceramic composites to reduce their vulnerability to my magnetic powers. Fortunately, I've yet to see an aircraft, as was the helicopter gunship that launched them, capable of surviving the impact of multiple steel I-beams. As I said before, X-Men, I bear you no malice, but I will not allow you to interfere. Best, I think, I remove you to the lower levels of this facility until my business is complete. And he's kind of doing them a justice here, right? Like, this is where you kind of get to see the complexity of Magneto's motives is not as cut and dry as some in the X-Men may think, including Cyclops. It's a lot more complicated than that. My actions appear to have placed in danger where your myriad skills and talents can be devoted to rescue of those innocents. No matter how much I care about you, Magneto, I can't let you get away with this. And how, pray tell, sweet rogue, will you stop me? This dude is powerful. He is very powerful. I wonder if, because this was the time, this time frame was my entry into comic books. I think it might have been a year or a year and a half before this. I've told the story already, so I'm not going to go into it again. Anyway, I never went back and read old X-Men books. So I wonder what was the perception of Magneto before this book. And something tells me like his power was known, but I don't know if he received the respect that he should have received as a villain. And of course, tosses Rogue right into the river. That's the spirit, Lord. Put these arrogant upstarts in their proper place once and for all. Indeed, let we who revere and follow you even unto death. Profit from your example. Keep your psychic knife to yourself, Psylocke. Good as you are at martial arts, You're not the best. A lack that's about to cost you dearly. And you're about to see what he does to her. I am Fabian Cortez, a mutant like yourself. Would you like a taste of my powers? He has the ability to accelerate a person's powers. I believe he can heal as well. I believe we saw that in issue number 1. But he has the ability to excel a person's power like beyond their ability to contain. And that's what he does here. Knocks Psylocke right off of her feet. She doesn't know what's going on. Devastation is too tame a word to describe the scene in Hammer Bay, as this nation, which has only begun to recover from its recent all-out confrontation with the mutant band known as the X-Men. He's referring to the incident we've codenamed Extinction Agenda. Northern Hemisphere looks like it got its hands full too. Awfully droll way, Colonel Fury, of referring to the first hostile detonation in Earth's atmosphere since the Second World War of a nuclear weapon in Soviet airspace, Colonel, with the Russian people bearing the awful consequences. Electronic systems disrupted across the continent thanks to the electromagnetic pulse. Contamination to the biosphere from the release of more concentrated radioactivity and fallout than was generated by the Chernobyl disaster. I've read the briefing papers, Comrade Alexiev, and no, Dr. Cooper, I wasn't making fun, just an observation. Fact is, we got ourselves a crisis situation here. We got to defuse it or let it escalate into something we'll all regret. The People's Republic vehemently opposes any violent resolution of this situation. Rather, we would prefer to welcome Magneto into the family of nations, and that would probably have been their actual best bet. But when people are ready for action, nothing but action will suffice. This is Chief Magistrate Anderson in Genosha. Have you got eyes? Can you see? While you idiots are blithering at the United Nations, Magneto is destroying my country. And because of stricture laid down by you after the extinction mess, my troops are powerless to stop him. We're being massacred. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics will not allow a repeat of what just happened to us and to Genosha. My government demands full and immediate implementation of the Magneto protocols. What about the risk? If necessary, Colonel Fury, we will act alone, but act we shall. So many thoughts. Muty, help me, save me, hurt. Smashing through my head. Get that ring off my body. They're killing us. Cursed Gene jokes. Hate them. Kill them all. I can't keep them out. So she's hearing everyone's thoughts, everyone who's here. Hate them. Muties. Hate them. Tear her down. Muty. Hate them. Beat the witch bloody. Only good muty's a dead muty. These are all the things that are going through her head. That, gentlemen, although in your collective case I use the term advisably, will be quite enough of that. Loath as I usually am to use my somewhat altruistic to deliberately provoke a fear response in those I encounter, in your case, I will gladly make an exception. Run, all of you, run. It's a beast. The beast, thank you. And lay hand on my teammate again, you will find out why. So he let the fangs out. What a nasty little temper you have there, Furball. You may well have saved your friend, though I doubt in her present state she'd consider that a blessing. But I will wager at the cost of the X-Men's good and heroic reputation. Fair trade-off, do you think? What did you do? What did you do to her, acolyte? Why, what comes naturally, X-Man? I enhanced Psylocke's telepathic power to an ultimate extent. She's probably in direct contact with every sentient mind on the island. Tens of millions of people. Do you think the poor wee skull can handle the load? Probably a whole lot better, Slug, than you can handle, quarterstaff. Bong. He got him. Magneto yells out, "Stop!" With the whole world screaming for mutant blood, we cannot afford to waste our energies fighting amongst ourselves. Strange. We always figured we were standing against injustice. Then, Beast, your place should be by my side. For what greater injustice can there be than a people who would hate and even destroy their children simply because they exist? And you're any different? Your leaders are beaten. Your cause is lost. I call on you to yield. Cyclops got the grip. Magneto got the grip on him. Half a world away in the suburban New York City mansion that houses Professor Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters and serves as the X-Men's secret headquarters. First string defense fully enabled and online. Alert calls out to Storm and her team. Do you think we'll be a target, Forge? Magneto's all but nail Cyclops team. Stands to reason he'll come for us next. Forge, what can you tell me about Magneto, the Magneto protocols referred to in the United Nations sessions? Not much there. Presidential access only files about as top secret as things get. I need that information. What do you think they'll do, Charles? I have no idea, Banshee, and that frightens me. You're talking like we're in war. No, my friend, they are. By the way, where's Moira? Ran off right when Forge sounded the alarm. Stay here and assist Forge. I shall find her. Professor, it isn't wise to leave the secure facility. I will come. No. I understand the risk, Forge, and I accept it. I think Charles kind of knew what was getting ready to come. Of course, he's a psychic, right? Psychic, he's a telepath. I understand your concerns for the woman you love, Banshee. Mine are no less. This is why I ask you to respect my decision and accept it. Bull, Magneto, sweet words made lies by your own actions. You got your hand at Sykes and Wolvie's throats. What you gonna do if we turn you down? You have seen me at my best, Rogue. Why now are you so eager to believe the worst? Offer me a fraction of trust you give Charles Xavier without question, and I will prove to you beyond all shadow of a doubt that mine is the true cause, the path to salvation for mutant kind. Funny. My thoughts exactly. Your pet boy, Fabian, did his job too well, chum. Thought I couldn't handle the load. May well be right in time. Brain feels like that drug commercial frying in acid. But in the meanwhile, I'm not about to be beaten by the likes of him or you. And my amplified powers made my psychic knife so strong, not even your defense can stop it. So Fabian kind of messed up. And it's panels like this, right? These are iconic and epic panels. The detail, the action, the emotion captured in the faces. This is the stuff about comics that I love. The force of the man only have an edge because I caught him off guard. Under normal circumstance, at my normal levels, I doubt I could come even close to hurting him. Hold him for a sec longer, Betts. You brought him down. I'll take him. And you see a question. He's trying to figure out what's going on. Ah, the acolyte called Chrome. Forgive me, Lord, for not coming sooner to your assistance. Better late than never. Are they alive? Frozen in a transitory statue state. Leave them as they are. Leave them as they are, hidden until we return to asteroid M, at which point I shall determine their ultimate fate and yours, Cortez. None of this would have happened had you not mounted this attack. I sought only to demonstrate my worthiness, Lord, and your acolyte's capabilities, and both then you have failed. This is excellent writing. Excellent writing. This is like for comic books, this is elite level writing. Do not do so a second time. Before you pass judgment, Lord, I have uncovered some information I believe you ought to know. And presently, after their uneventful return to asteroid M, maintained by Magneto's powers in low Earth orbit, 250 kilometers above the planetary surface, behind a defense screen of nuclear missiles appropriated from a sunken Soviet submarine, I noticed an anomaly when I healed you of your wounds, Lord, a discrepancy between the genetic codes in the master files and what I sensed in your own body. And you saw fit to withhold this revelation from me? No, Lord, never. You were asleep when I led my strike group to Genosha. I meant to inform you upon our return. In truth, I wasn't sure what to make of it. It's a piece of genetic engineering, an artificial alteration in my DNA codes, and I know of only one way it could have occurred. Baikonur, Cosmodome, Soviet Central Asia. Drisva Odin ignition. We have liftoff. Vehicle clearing the launch tower. All systems normal. Translated from the Russian BH. A magnificent sight, eh, comrade, Director General? Not so long ago, Dmitri launching that plasma cannon would have provoked an immediate thermonuclear response from the Americans. Now, Washington cheers us on. It is only Magneto we have to fear. I wonder, old friend, have our actions saved our poor world or sealed its doom? The boathouse on the shore of Breakstone Lake, a brisk downhill walk from Xavier's mansion. If it's answers you want from me, Charlie, all you need to do is reach into my mind. In all the years we've known each other, Moira, I've never done that. I gave you my word. I never would. But you want to. I don't have to be a telepath like you to know that. So this dialogue, the dynamics you get in these relationships, how it's covered in the art, whew, man. Like I said, elite level writing and artistry. Once I held back the truth about my my mutant son, Proteus, until he went mad, and the time came for the X-Men to fight him to his death. Now you're afraid I've done it again. Charles Xavier is not the only interested party here, Dr. McTaggart. And if you're hiding something, especially something that I strongly suspect pertains to me, I really must insist you reveal what it is. Magneto! They didn't see that one coming. Don't bother alerting your mansion's defenders, Charles. We are quite beyond their reach. I told the man, I warned him. No use belly aching. We underestimated Magneto and he burned us. Question now is, what do we do next? I've taken the liberty, Charles, of inhibiting all the internal systems of your quite formidable chair. um, to remove even the temptation of any foolish gestures. I would also recommend against the use of your telepathic powers against me, since I alone maintain the life support envelope about this boathouse. What's the meaning of this, Magneto? Why have you abducted us? And it is a rather long way to fall. I have questions that require answers from you both, and I do not wish to be disturbed in this process. I have found some intriguing anomalies in my DNA matrix. I was wondering what you might tell me about it. I haven't the foggiest notion what you're talking about. Professor X is literally like, what on the planet Earth is going on here? I don't know what you're talking about. I hope that's true because we were friends once. And when one friend betrays the other's trust, it leaves a wound that never truly heals. Cast your minds back, both of you, to my earliest incarnation, that regrettable confrontation in the United Nations with a mutant of my own creation, which resulted in my being reduced to a state of infancy. For those keeping score, it was in Defenders number 16, Bob. I love stuff like this in comics. Like, no, some people remember all of these different issues, but people like me, my memory is not a steel trap like that. So I would see this and be like, I remember something like this happening somewhere, but where was it? They tell you right here in the dialogue. I love that. I was then entrusted into the care of Moira McTaggart and sent to live at her Muir Isle Mutant Research Center. Who knows? I might have lived a normal life had not an agent of the alien Shi'ar restored me to my prime. Uncanny X-Men number 104, Bob. The question is, what occurred during the moments I was in your care, Moira? I don't know. I don't know, Ken, what you mean. That's a pity. She knows exactly what he means. Oh, I just lost my mouse for a second. There we go. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. Regrettably, I don't believe you. Neither I wager does Charles, although he's too much of a gentleman to press the point. I, however, have no such compunctions. I suggest you search your soul rather quickly and find a better, truer answer. Charles! He's putting him out of this protective bubble. You talk of friendship and trust. Is this how you relay them? Where is the good, decent, honorable man to whom I entrusted my school? Charles is a very, like, some people see the best in everyone, which is good, but some people do it naively. And Xavier does that a lot naively. And it cost him, but it's part of what makes him such a good dude, right? Like, that's part of his character. And Magneto is more of a, I would say he's more of a I don't know if I want to go with realist, pragmatist. He is so real about a lot of this stuff. He doesn't pull any punches. You proceeded from a false assumption, Charles. The question is not what happened to that man you describe, but whether he ever even existed. Only Dr. McTaggart can answer that. And if she has any regard at all for your life, old friend, that's a vacuum out there. He'll die. Then save him. Please don't hurt him. It's almost too late. Stop. I'll tell you. I'll tell you what you want to know. Just bring him back inside. Please, I beg you. I'll tell you everything. Magneto has this look like, all right, here we go. Time for some action. I never doubted it for an instant. So, we're ready and waiting, my dear. There were indications of an instability in your central nervous system, as though your body couldn't quite handle the energies you were processing through it, akin to a power line unable to cope with loads far beyond its design capabilities. There was a possibility of a progressive degeneration that could in turn affect the electromechanical balance of your brain. What? With great power comes certain madness. Explain to me then how the man Charles knew and respected in Israel could turn into a master of the brotherhood of evil mutants. I need explain nothing, woman. That is your task. Now, mind you, everybody's sitting back. You got the X-Men back here kind of caged up listening, and this is an important part of this story. This story is so good and has so many twists and turns and ups and downs. Like I said, masterful work. I thought if I could modify the genetic matrix, eliminate the instability, perhaps I thought I might use the same process to save my son. How seductively noble, an end that surely justified any means, no matter how foul. You were a child again, an innocent, with a second chance to live your life over again. And who gave you the right to play God with my soul? By the eternal, by tinkering with the foundation of my being, you took from me the dimensions of moral choice. Every decision I've made since my rebirth is now suspect thanks to you. Things get really real. Let me go back. Every fiber of my being thrown into chaos. How else did you tinker, doctor? Did it amuse you to see how easily I might be manipulated? It wasn't like that. Of course not. You worked for the betterment of the world and the race. I heard those same rationales as a boy in Auschwitz death camp by Dr. Joseph Mengele himself. So this really invoked his childhood. If you know about his childhood, Eric Lensher, like I said, I did a video covering Magneto. I will maybe tag that video up here somewhere as well so you can go view that one. And she really doesn't know how bad she was. I guess she knows now. Very well then, as you sowed, so shall you reap. By replicating your process with the X-Men. No! My dear, you speak as though you have a choice. Consider the alternative. Shall I return you home atop a chariot made from your broken bodies, to live forever knowing that you could have saved them but for pride? You will ensure that they come to see mine as the one true path, and that they follow me willingly, indeed with all their hearts. You cannot resist me, Moira, or the tide of history I represent. For you are only human. I grow impatient of your answers. And do not bother lying. That metal skin sheath not only gives me absolute control over your body, but a total awareness of it as well. I will sense the slightest attempt at deception and respond accordingly. Do we understand each other, Moira? Will you behave yourself and do as I command? Yes. Prologue. The Sakhalin Islands between the Soviet Union and Japan. Your mission was successful, General Arkhipyev. As the Americans say, comrade, piece of cake. That electromagnetic pulse ignited has crashed every main computer network in the Rodina. Even the shielded military nodes have been seriously degraded. They'll never know Omega's missing, assuming anyone even remembers it exists. You remembered, Comrade General, how fortuitously profitable for both of us that I did. It doesn't bother you selling out your Rodina, your sacred motherland, for personal gain? Not at all. The act of a good communist or a patriot. A fool's sentiment these days, and a fool's beliefs. Pity, pity when a man has to die. It should be for something more than the promise of mere wealth. Some ninjas pop out. Curse you, Matsuo Shuriaba. We had an agreement, which I have honored to the letter. In return for the delivery of a certain item, I've paid you a certain price. Nothing was ever said about how long you might enjoy it. Wow. Double cross. Goodbye, General. Our business is now concluded. Ooh, we got spicy. Later, Asteroid M, Professor Xavier. Cyclops? Are you all right, sir? Much the better, lad, for seeing all of you again. Neither Magneto nor his acolytes are aware of your escape. Have you a plan for dealing with them and effecting our return to Earth? Or have you already done so? No, Professor, nothing like that at all. We've come to tell you that we've joined Magneto. Oh man, the shock on his face. I know this will be hard for you to understand, but a lot of what he says makes sense. Maybe his means are a little extreme, but I think we can temper them. The plain fact though is that while your dream of a peaceful integration was right for its day, times have changed. We have to change to match it. Same as Cable and his X-Force. Magneto is the right man for this era, sir, and we mean to stand by him to the end. This is not what Professor X saw coming. So much for that idea. What's the saying? At first you don't succeed. Thing is, after 10 tries and 10 straight massacres, a body has to begin to wonder. We are a match for Cyclops' team or for the Acolytes, or possibly, if the goddess is very kind, even for Magneto. But all of them together? Well, that's why we have the Danger Room, to examine how our foes think and act, that we may better uncover a weakness we can use to defeat them, always assuming they have one. Scott and his team are the key. Are you certain they've been turned? I'm afraid so. But how is it you know though? The psychic rapport you once shared with Scott? Sorry to interrupt, ladies. Another loss. Geez Louise, Aurora. What are we today? The Mets? Crazy, right? That they would put that in his book. That's little things like that. Like I said, comics are so enjoyable. I really do enjoy comic books. I hate to make your morning even worse, but this is a call I think we'd better take. It's coming in over my personal private channel. I'm breaking a whole host of rules by making this call, Forge, but I don't much care. The decision's been made and ratified by the Security Council to execute Stage 3 of the Magneto Protocols. In compliance, American strategic forces have gone to DEFCON 1, so have the Russians. In effect, a state of war now exists between the great powers and Magneto, and they mean to do whatever's necessary to bring him down. The Russians have launched an assault vehicle representing the pinnacle of their military technology. It's an energy cannon firing beams of ultra-intensity nuclear plasma. It's never been field tested. It's so powerful they didn't dare inside the atmosphere. It's the kind of weapon a body'd use to punch through planets, which is pretty much just what they intend to do to Magneto's orbiting rock and everyone aboard. Unless maybe you were to get there first and take him off. But if you're gonna move, it's gotta be now and it's gotta be fast. You guys saw the simulations. We get creamed. We are open to suggestions, Iceman. It's what we're here for, kiddo. Why Professor X founded the team. You know Magneto's sure to be waiting for us. Then, Forge, let us not disappoint him. Whatever the risk, my friends, regardless of the odds, we must at least try. To be continued. This is premium storytelling. When I tell you this is storytelling at its best on every level, from the writing to the artwork. This is, in my opinion, in the 90s, what made comic books so great is stories like this. And look, there are writers and stories like this now, maybe not to the same exact degree, but I think there are good stories like this out there. I think Jonathan Hickman is a masterful storyteller. So is Scott Snyder, another masterful storyteller. I think Chuck Dixon, another one. The Saska sisters, in my opinion, more masterful storytellers. There are lots of good stories out there. You just got to know who's telling them.